thank you for being here this afternoon. I'll be presenting to you some of the primary findings in my thesis from long-run modeling of healthcare expenditure growth with a focus on industrialized countries. So some background about why this is an important area to do research. Within the healthcare literature, forecasts on healthcare spending have really been empirical and haven't had much of a theoretical basis. However, there's a full body of growth literature in the macroeconomics field, and this has been applied to the general economy, but hasn't really been applied to healthcare. So I'm trying to bridge the gap in my thesis. I addressed 4 questions in my thesis. The first one is whether or not the long-run economic growth factors, whether or not these factors can also explain the long-run growth of healthcare expenditures within a country. And then I want to know whether or not these economic growth factors can also explain the variation between countries. Sorry, I'm getting slides. I also want to know whether or not the long-run economic growth factors can also explain healthcare expenditure growth at a disaggregate level, disaggregate being like professional services, hospitals, or mental health care expenditures.
Mental health especially?
Mental health especially, given this is my funding source. So I have a particular interest in mental health. It's hugely. The overarching question underlying these 3 questions is whether or not there is some evidence in the slowdown of healthcare expenditure growth, or put it another way, whether or not healthcare expenditures may one day asymptote as a share of GDP. The sample I'll be using to address these questions is a sample of 6 countries, all industrialized countries. They're chosen really because they have data available between the years of 1970 to 2005. And the data set that I'll be using is the OECD health data set, and it's the most recent version in 2007. So in this thesis, I've developed 2 main models. The first one is called the Marginal Expenditure Increase Model, or the MEI model. I also refer to it as a simple rule. In this model, healthcare expenditures is estimated as a function of potential GDP. And potential GDP is basically a smoothed GDP, or a GDP without the recessions and inflations.